All right, taking a look at your electrical panel with your dead front off, I was able to trace a few things back. This is a Siemens ITE main panel. I checked your connections coming over from your solar inverter as well. Those were actually done well, properly executed, good access with their conduit access body as well. Whoever did your sauna circuit, they should have never put it here blocking this cover plate. This is an access port meant for inspection of your ground equipment conductor to make sure it has a good connection that's meant to be permanently accessible. This would be the equivalent of someone installing a pedestal sink right in a doorway. You just don't block access here. This was clearly done by someone who was not an electrician. Aside from the fact they also used the incorrect screws and several of them are broken, they went ahead and just concrete sawed across the sidewalk here. Even if this weren't something that had to be inspected in an accessible cover plate, the way they went about it was very poor. It wasn't sealed back correctly. I'm sure there's some water intrusion there. You don't want water behind your stucco. You can start growing mold in there. This is not watertight the way it should be. Regardless, even removing this will break up this portion of concrete here where they have the patch, pull everything back. You can get that patched again, ensure access is restored. It may be difficult to see here in this video, however, the back of the enclosure shows the damaged ground wire. I'll add some still photos here that have a close-up. It would have been difficult for someone to even get to that. It looks like it might have even been done during installation. The grounding electrode conductor appears to be severely nicked. It's damaged where it enters the knockout at the back of the electrical panel. I'm of the opinion this occurred during initial installation years ago when the home was constructed. This bare wire is part of the home's grounding system and helps safely direct fault current, surges, or electrical lightning energy away from the electrical system. As it's damaged, the grounding system may not perform as intended during an abnormal electrical event, which can increase the risk of equipment damage or shock hazard. It should be repaired or replaced to restore a reliable grounding path. Taking a look at the circuit breakers you have installed here, as we know this is a Siemens ITE electrical panel. What's odd is you have quite a few square D circuit breakers as well as a General Electric. These are not listed for this enclosure. Incorrect breakers installed in the electrical panel are a safety hazard because a breaker does not properly fit and engage the bus bar as is intended or designed. Even if it appears to work or appears to fit, there's a poor connection that will create heat, arcing, melting, or damage. It increases the risk of breaker failure, the loss of a proper circuit protection, or an electrical fire. They need to be matched and listed for use together so that they can safely trip when they need to and protect the home if there's ever an overload or fault, rather than allowing the wires within the wall to melt off the jacket insulation and potentially cause an electrical fire. My recommended action is that we remove the improperly listed circuit breakers, do a visual inspection of the bus bars, make sure that there isn't any arc damage or overheating on the bus bars themselves, and if not, go ahead and reinstall the appropriately listed Siemens circuit breakers. Get all those wires landed back on the circuit breakers and torqued to manufacturer specification using a laboratory grade certified torque screwdriver. Here, looking at your receptacle near your smoker. I threw my multimeter on this, it wasn't functional. Looking at it, there's no obvious issues from this side. Likely either the splice and a junction box in the attic or the corresponding receptacle on the other side of this wall, wherever it grabs its power source from, has failed. Whether it be a backstab connection or in a junction box, that's something that would have to be investigated additionally. Someone has already been in this box. These have drywall screws that were holding it in. These are not exterior rated. They're not the correct electrician screws, the 6/32 thread screws. So someone's already had their hand in here, whether it was recently or a while ago. It's possible that receptacle grabs its power from that light fixture right above. Again, it could be a receptacle on the opposing wall. I took a look over here at your GFCI receptacle, exterior of the home near the gate, and this was fully functional. This thing was installed correctly. I imagine this was installed original to the home. Taking a look at this, so this was clearly added around the time of the sauna. This is Schedule 40 PVC. They patched through there. This should be Schedule 80 per code. This is brittle and can be easily damaged. It wasn't secured correctly. You see how much movement there is. It wasn't even fully threaded into this exterior bell box. Looking at this, as soon as I pulled it open, that ground wasn't even connected correctly. I didn't disconnect it. It was that way originally. They used red wire. This is not correct identified wire. They grabbed their power source from the opposing wall. Looking at the terminal screws, they weren't even connected correctly. They were connected backwards in the method that they had secured them. This Romex, this is not listed for outdoor use. While it will work temporarily, the jacket on the copper conductors will fail due to moisture, as they're not intended for moisture, high moisture environments. Being in PVC, it will condensate inside there, and over time it will degrade the jacket and it'll fail. Copper will corrode. So I'm sure they went here underground. That all needs to be removed. Looking back here, they have their PVC Schedule 40 conduit again, and what's funny is this is supposed to be a watertight solution. They just threw it under a couple chunks of concrete, Schedule 40 right there. The whole point of this is to be watertight, and they intentionally drilled holes through it and put in what looks like extension cords, which is crazy. Extension cords are not meant for permanent outdoor installation either. That's also not code compliant. I'm assuming this is where it went up on the lattice on one side. This thing was missing the cover as well on one of the conduit access bodies. So you would have got tons of corrosion in there at the wire nuts. The wire nuts weren't even rated for outdoor exposure either. Those are not meant to be junction points either. Those are meant just to be pull points. Again, here's some more extension cords, which is just crazy to me. Looking at this fusible disconnect, it was not sealed at the back as it should have been. So it's easy to understand how so much rainwater and moisture, dew would have just entered here. Again, it's not code compliant to run conduit through a shared fence. As soon as I pulled this out and looked at it, high amount of corrosion, which was to be expected. That copper doesn't like corrosion. It's going to cause high resistance, cause heat. That'll eventually catastrophically fail. So it's a good thing you guys aren't using it often. From here back, all along the fence line, you had the liquid tight conduit, and then it transitioned at some point in there to EMT 1-inch metal conduit. Same thing there, everything exposed. I'm assuming this is another side where the lattice had power going up, and it looks like they thought they made it waterproof with this electrical tape and these indoor rated wire nuts. They did not. There is a way to make connections waterproof. That is not one of them. Taking a look at this 1-inch EMT, these compression fittings, these are also not rain tight, weather resistant. These are indoor rated. It also isn't secured every 3 to 4 feet as is required by code. But again, that's all minor in the fact that it shouldn't be on the fence to begin with. Just passing by, looking at your sprinklers here, same thing. All these wire nuts full of corrosion, upside down, almost as if they're cups in the rain gathering water. I'm sure those have failed long ago. I'd be surprised if they're still running. So following along that EMT conduit, it goes straight into the dirt, right where they do their transition in a very inaccessible spot. I'm surprised they got it there. Again, galvanized steel is not meant to go direct to burying ground, direct dirt exposure. That's going to corrode and fail. I'm sure it already has. Again, that's where, you know, it matches up with the line here for this concrete sod portion. At some point, they transitioned over to PVC, which is what's funny. They should have done that over there as well. Yeah, if you did want electrical circuits in the background, in the backyard, it wouldn't make sense to block access to this inspection port here. It's very bold of whoever did this that they went ahead and just blocked it. So even if we were to remove all this cabling, I need to fix this for you. Looking at this one from your solar company as an example, this was the right way. They're not blocking anything. That's how a conduit access body is meant to go. And I see these right here are your wires for solar as well for the communication device that they have.